Hi class, welcome to the amphibians. Please make sure you have your outline in front of you. You'll want to make sure you have a pencil that you can write with, and you may need a highlighter just so you can highlight important things that you want to remember. We're going to begin with evolutionary history or some background about amphibians. Just so you know where the name amphibian came from, it means double life. And what that means is that with these organisms, part of their life is lived in the water and part of their life is lived on land. So for example, with a frog, baby frogs are called tadpoles, and tadpoles live in the water. They have to. They have gills actually for that part of their life cycle. And then when they grow into an adult frog, they move to land and they live primarily on the land. They have lungs to breathe. So that's what they mean by this naming them with this particular name. The amphibians are the first organism considered to be tetrapods, meaning that they have 4 legs or 4 feet. And they like to use this term for current living tetrapods and maybe very recent ancestors. So tetrapods include all the higher animals above amphibians like reptiles, birds, and mammals. And we're gonna go through some of the ancestors to modern day amphibians. So the stegocephalian, there's a lot of extinct tetrapod ancestors related to this guy. The best known ancestor to amphibians is the Ichthyostega. He's not necessarily the first amphibian, which existed about 400 million years ago, but it's a very good representative. He's got strong limbs, strong jaws, it's terrestrial. And here just lists a few of the differences with these guys and why he can live on land more so than in the water. So the cranial bones are going to be smaller and lighter so that his head's not as heavy when he's out of the water. He has a mobile neck, meaning he can move his head. There's no opercular bones, and that's because he doesn't have gills. He's actually going to have lungs. Opercular bones, remember, those are the protective covering of fish gills. He's going to have a more ridged vertebral column, 4 muscular limbs with digits, so there's actually going to be like finger-looking digits. He will lose the fin rays, and he has sacral vertebrae that fuse the vertebrae and the pelvis. So the sacrum is kind of down lower where your pelvis is. The next slide is going to be just a short video clip, just giving you some background on this Ichthyostega guy.
It almost looks like Tiktaalik, but Tiktaalik is long extinct. In fact, this is one of Tiktaalik's descendants, a critical link to the evolution of humankind, the 5-foot-long Ichthyostega.
Ichthyostega is very interesting in the sense that this animal represents one of the first documented cases in the fossil record where we have a vertebrate with recognizable digits in its limbs. The hand of Ichthyostega is not known, but the hind limbs are very well known. And interestingly, there's not 5 digits, but there are 7.
Its ancestor Tiktaalik used both gills and lungs for respiration. Ichthyostega only uses lungs. A sturdier rib cage supports his body when out of water, relieving pressure on the lungs. That means Ichthyostega can draw much deeper breaths than Tiktaalik. Like a modern-day whale or dolphin, it gulps air at the surface before launching its attack.
If you think about it, in a very tangled swamp where you have a lot of vegetation material down and sticks, legs are really useful. You can pull yourself through branches and dead leaves and material that are very useful for underwater appendages.
But Ichthyostega is as comfortable out of water as he is in it.
The Ichthyostega certainly could get out. Whether it could lift itself off its belly, there's a big debate about this. How strong were the shoulder girdles? How strong were the forelegs? But it is the ancestor that does give rise to animals that could hold themselves up, these first true amphibians.
So at one time there's a lot of species of tetrapods that are now extinct, and not all organisms that die become fossils. So it's kind of hard to trace the ancestry when you don't have all of those missing links. But they still think that amphibians are monophyletic, meaning they're very closely related to tetrapods and amniotes. And amniotes are going to be the animals like reptiles, birds, and mammals that produce an egg that has an amnion. That amnion layer just prevents drying out of the egg. So they are relating them very closely to all the other tetrapods. They just don't have all of the pieces to the puzzle. And here's a possible cladogram on the relationship of amphibians to other species, most of them being extinct. All the way to the right are the amniotes. Those are the reptiles, birds, and mammals. And what we have in common with amphibians is the four limbs and the movable head with the snap and grab jaw mechanism. So the way that the jaw functions is unique to all future organisms on this cladogram. This is going to be the last slide for part 1, so you can continue on to part 2 or you can take a break.